Okay, hello everybody. So welcome to Chrysalis on the Couch. So today we are going to be chatting together about the general theme of things that we don't need, which has sort of sparked some kind of interesting thoughts for us all. We'll just introduce ourselves before we start, and do remember that if you're enjoying our channel, if you're enjoying our Chrysalis on the Couch episodes, then do please just press that like button and do feel free to subscribe to our channel as well. We'd love to keep seeing you. So my name is Lorna, and I'm a tutor for Chrysalis. I teach the counselling and psychotherapy course. I'm also a therapist in private practice and have been practicing for a large number of years, and very much enjoying what I do. Okay, over to you, Siata.
Hi, I'm Siata. I'm a third year student at Chrysalis. I did initially the hypnotherapy course, and I've just finished the level 5 and level 4 in psychotherapeutic counselling, which was thoroughly enjoyable.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom. So I'm just finishing my level 5, which I did a few weeks back with Lorna. I run my own hypnotherapy practice and my own coaching practice, and I'm going to add the counselling into that. That's the room you can see around me. That's where I'm sat now. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to taking part today.
I'm Fiona. Hello. I am an ex-student of Chrysalis, and I'm also now a tutor on the year 1 hypnotherapy course. And I've been doing that for about 6 months now, which just seems like ages. And I absolutely love it. It's changed everything in my life. It's so rewarding. And I also work with children and young people in a secondary school. So I have many strings to my bow. And yeah, I'm really apprehensive about doing this. But from our last meeting, I got encouraged to join in. And I'm glad to do it. I am.
Well, we're really pleased to hear that, Fiona, and really pleased to have you here. So, we were just a few moments ago kind of discussing this general theme, weren't we? And it sort of brought up some really kind of, some interesting thoughts, didn't it? About, what do we mean by needing things? And sometimes it's easier to know what we don't need, or I don't know. What do we think?
Yeah, see, I find that really interesting because I think, having started to think about it now, I find it easier to know what I do need and then see how much stuff around me that I don't. So I know that I need my animals around me, so because I know that I get joy and I get pleasure from those, and I know that I need to take them for walks, take my dogs out into the countryside because I enjoy that. But then I also know that I don't need a lot of the things we buy for creature comforts, would that be right? Or the DVDs and things that I've got in my living room and stuff like that. I don't need those. They're just there. They form part of my household, but I very rarely use them.
That's interesting. So they're there, but you don't watch them.
Yeah.
You're the same. The same. But yeah, it feels nice to know that they're there in case. Yeah. And maybe that's a kind of general theme here, that we like to. Is it an anxiety? I don't know.
I was just thinking that when Tom was speaking, how would you feel if, I'm not using my therapy work, but it's very relevant. How would you feel if someone came up to you and said, when was the last time you watched those DVDs? Let's just get rid of them. What would your initial thought be? So do what is attached to the things that we never touch, but what relevance are they in our lives?
That's quite interesting, Fiona, because I don't think, just thinking now, I think I'd be okay with that. I think they're almost a prop of everyday life, specifically DVDs. So, I don't know, but I've got Sky, I order a film, the DVD comes in the post. I'm never going to watch the DVD, it just comes with it, goes on the bookshelf, and that's where it stays forever. And I think I'd be okay with that. but it is an interesting question that you pose about the things we surround ourselves with, because it's normal. Is that the right term?
Yeah. Anchors
Yeah.
or security blankets, or there's a whole variety out there.
Yeah. What do you think, Siata? Because a few moments ago we were talking about stuff, weren't we? And it seems so
Yeah.
normal to have stuff.
Yeah, I think that we live in quite a consumer society and we're encouraged to acquire stuff. It's almost like part of our leisure. You know, leisure is acquiring stuff. And so it's very easy to get pulled in that direction without even knowing it. And I find that over the years, I was a mindless acquirer of stuff. But now I realize that I don't need the bulk of that stuff. And actually I feel freer and lighter, and you know, it takes less energy to have less stuff. And it's not just things like shoes or clothes. It is the CDs and the DVDs and the books. So with books, I've got a pile of books here, but I'm now more an ebook person, because I realize that there's less of a less stuff. I can have the book, but I don't have the stuff piling up. Yeah, so I think I'm moving more towards things, intangibles. I'm valuing intangible things much more than physical things.
That's very interesting, isn't it? You know, this idea of yes, you know, but sometimes I think that some of the things that I think are most important to me have an element of emotional attachments. There is something about them that, you know, even though I don't actually need them. I was just thinking, actually, as you were talking about DVDs, Tom, that everything from DVDs to records to books, the absolutely important ones to me that I would say they're my favourites, I never have them, because I've always given them away to people. So, you know, people have borrowed them and not given them back, or I said, oh, you must read this, or you must play this. And, you know, it's as if, you know, and I've sometimes bought several copies of things and I still don't have them. So, but I still know they're my favourites, but I don't actually have to possess them. I kind of like the idea of being able to pass them on.
I had a friend of mine, she used to read a book, and in the front cover of the book, she would write a message to whoever gets this book next, please enjoy it. And she was very much of like passing it on, paying it forward. And yeah, it's like you have had that experience that you have attached to that book or DVD or CD that will never go away. You've always got it. But there's something so nice and gratifying about passing it on to somebody else.
Yeah, I do that. If I really like an ebook or an audiobook, I will send it to someone I think would also love it.
Yes.
So it's a similar idea. Yeah.
It's really interesting, because listening to you talk about books, I have a very different emotional attachment to my books. I love to read. And I'm very much into Terry Pratchett and Douglas Adams and those kinds of sci-fi things. And I have every Discworld novel ever written on a bookcase. Now, if you ask me to throw those away, that would be a very different thing. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? The difference in emotional attachment to different objects.
But going back to Siata, what you were saying about this, you know, the intangible, it's like, well, I mean, is it the actual physical book, or is it the world that you can immerse yourself into, and kind of the kind of cognitive traveling, if you like, that you can do through something like that? It's a vehicle, isn't it? Is it the object in itself? I guess in some ways it is, because if you had the last ever copy in the universe of that book, then
it's the gateway, isn't it? really. It's the gateway into that cognitive travelling, it's the key almost, I guess. So it's not so much the book itself, but what that facilitates.
Yeah, but sometimes I think we get confused between the experience and having to have the physical thing that leads to experience. I mean, it's like photos. I take pictures now, but I've got to the point where actually I realize that I enjoy experiences much more if I just put the camera away. And actually, I don't really look at these pictures often. So I'm like, well, I'm actually trying to hold on to the experience, but actually I'm not experiencing it in the moment. And I remember going to my children's school plays, and I spent the whole time behind the camera filming it. And I'm like, did I really watch the play, or did I end up filming it and then coming home and watching it on the camera phone? And I'm like, I would have been better off watching it. But there's this pressure to, like, you know, record the experience rather than to live the experience. And I feel that I just want to be in the moment. And I feel that particularly now, because this year has been so challenging. So many people I know who are very young have passed away. And just this week, actually, I heard my builder had passed away. He's like 40, if that. And I just realized, and it just hit me. And 2 weeks before that, my uncle. So I just realized that actually I want to be in the moment and experience the moment. I don't want to collect things to remind me because, you know, no, I want to actually be in the moment and live the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That, you know, that really kind of brings things home to us, doesn't it? Sort of, you know, it's like, well, yeah, we need experience, we need time, we need to be present, and we don't know what's around the corner. And I completely agree with you, Siata, in terms of you know, taking pictures, taking videos, and so on. You know, the experience is never captured. You know, not unless we're some amazing filmmaker who's got, you know, millions of pounds to really sort of create the experience. But it's, you know, it reminds me of sort of, you know, showing pictures to people who's like, well, this was really amazing, this was really great being there. It's like, well, I've got this little kind of 6x4 inch glossy kind of representation, and they're like, oh yeah, that looks nice, and you just can't match it, can you? You just can't match it.
But it is the experience, though, isn't it? It's like, I always think actually this time of year sort of raises it, or birthdays or anything like that, because certain people give material gifts and then some people give experiences. And I find as I've matured over my life, I now give experiences more than anything, you know, so tickets to see this, or I've been here, so here's a voucher to go to this destination. I know this year has been particularly difficult for that, but, you know, hopefully things return to normal a bit more. But I do think you maybe, as we develop as people and as therapists, maybe we value the experience a little bit more.
Actually, I mean, I was thinking that was, but then I thought about my own children, and I realized that they really value experience. They really value experiences. And for example, if ever it was their birthday and I said, what would you like for your birthday? Often what they want is a family dinner. That's like their priority, and they look forward to having everyone around. And one of the things they missed this year was that my son's birthday was in November and we had the second lockdown, so we couldn't have a family dinner, and that really upset him. And I think actually children, we might have that, we might value experience when we're younger, but actually we lose that. And actually I'm finding my way back, and I'm looking at my children, I'm thinking actually that's what they value. Not so much stuff, but the experience of, you know, having family around or doing things together.
Yeah, and maybe that is a, you know, it's a core need. It's a core need that's
I feel so.
that we need to have experience. I was listening to an interview on TV on Sunday with Sheila Hancock, the actress, and she's 87 now, and she's still working. And she was just saying that for her, the most important thing is to remain curious. So, to keep searching and, having our eyes opened by things. And I just thought that was such an important thing, really. And I think that's really important for me as well. And I guess there might even be some kind of connection between, gathering stuff that we think we need and losing that kind of curiosity, because it's so. One of us mentioned freedom. It's like, freeing ourselves from not having lots of things, lots of material things. And to be able to have the freedom to change direction and to look at something new and to move into something new. I think that's an important thing for me, something that I do need, and doesn't come alongside stuff, but it might come alongside tools if that's necessary to learn something new. But it feels like an important one to me.
Yeah.
I had been thinking earlier, one of the things I thought about earlier was self-limiting beliefs. And, I was a good age. I was over 40 when I decided to change my career. And it was a huge step for me, not just to do like the initial 2-year course, but to go back on and do like a 3-year course, to change, to literally rip up the rule book and go on a journey that I wanted to do. And to do that, you have to have the courage and the self-belief that you can achieve it, and also the acceptance if it doesn't work out. It's not because you're a bad person, it's because maybe there was external factors or something else that's going on for you at that moment that you weren't able to complete it. But by allowing yourself to go on a journey, I hate that word, but by allowing yourself and saying it's okay, on you go and try it. It's so freeing, it's so liberating, it's so owning who your identity is. And and yes, you have people that turn around and say, you can't do that, you're too old, you're too this, you're not clever enough, what do you know? And these are definite things that you don't need. You don't need that devil on your shoulder, casting doubt on what you could achieve if you wish to do it. And for me, that is like a top priority, is that you need to let go of self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah, who needs them?
Yeah, nobody needs them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm self-employed. I'm guessing that some of us also are. Yeah, and that took some courage for me before I was self-employed. The idea of, I mean, when I had a regular income, I needed a regular income, and that was a fact. I had a young child to bring up and responsibilities and so on. But when I actually wanted to make the move, just the anxiety of, well, can I make this work? And I get to the end of the month and there is not going to be a paycheck there. I am relying on what is going to happen this month. Is quite strong. It's quite strong, but it was just kind of really important to have faith. And to recognize again that, there's certain things that I do need and that I need an income for those things. But there's lots of other things that actually, I can let go of, and they're not so important. And I don't have to keep paying for them for a start. And, then that kind of freedom that comes with sort of stepping out and then finding that actually, it goes a little bit up and down. It's like, nobody's called for 2 days. It's a disaster. And then it starts to really balance out. And, unless unless something dramatic happened or I got this amazing curiosity to go in a different direction, I can't see myself ever sort of, wanting once again to have regular salaried, this is all I do. I very much like the flexibility of being able to change direction.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't need certainty, which is one of the new things that I realized I don't need. And yeah, I decided to change careers. And yeah, it was a real kind of doing the accounts. What is it on this list that I feel I need, and what is it that I feel actually it's just a luxury. And surprisingly, there were a lot of things on there that were, surplus to requirements. But what they were doing was tying me to doing things or not living my life or not being present in my life because I hadn't taken the time to do that, reconciliation. So there I was beavering away, buying things that or supporting or sustaining activities that weren't contributing to my well-being or my health. Yeah, and I feel healthier now. I feel much more present for myself and for my children and for my family. And I feel that actually that liberation that you're mentioning, Lorna, that freedom, the freedom to actually just be. So I let go also of the need to be busy. I don't need to be busy. Where in the past I thought, if I'm not busy, then there must be something wrong, or I have to occupy my time. So now I'm quite comfortable not being busy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm going to take a leaf from that book, Siata.
Oh, for goodness.
Busy at the moment.
Yeah.
You're right. It's just, it's a habit, actually.
Be okay with doing it. Be okay with, well, today I'm doing nothing. Today I'm going to stay in my bed and bring snacks and just be where I need to be at that moment.
I totally agree.
Yeah, there's so many people that say, oh, well, I need to get up and I need to do this and I need to do that. And, it's just a day in a week of 7 days. If you don't need to do that, if you choose to want to do something else, be brave and do it, and not worry about facing other people's recriminations because how dare you stay in bed all day and watch movies. You're like, bring it on.
It's my own it's not even my own recriminations. It's much more a kind of like but I've got this long list of things in my head. And I've got a secondary list behind that list, which is the list of things that I want to do when I have time, when I've done these things. So I can take it back actually to a time when I can remember there was a year in my life where I just decided to say yes to everything, not everything, but but rather than have a moment of doubt and think, oh, I don't know, let me consider that. I just said, okay, I'll just say yes. I'll just say yes and I'll make it work. And lots of really amazing things happened in that year, but maybe I now have found that, the fallout of that is that I've got this endless list of stuff.
It was interesting what you were saying about the going self-employed and the anxiety around that, because I found that when I went full-time self-employed, which was just over a year ago now, that brought focus, and that focus was actually quite freeing because a lot of the things that I didn't need just fell away because I wasn't paying any attention to them.
Yeah. So yeah, and I guess it's like trying to give up a habit, isn't it? What we focus on is it just becomes more important in our life. So the more I decide I want to, I don't know, give up fizzy drinks or whatever, the more I find myself focused on fizzy drinks. And yeah, so if you have to deliberately change focus onto something a lot more streamlined, then yeah, it falls away.
What I do need is time, which is really weird because I used to think that I could never have enough time, but now I realize there's enough. It's just that I was spending it. It's a bit like the lottery winners, you know, I was spending it frivolously on things that I really didn't need. So, you know, I do need time, but I'm going to spend that time in a way that is much more consistent with my values. And so that I don't end up, you know, frittering it away and then at the end of it thinking, you know, I'm frazzled, I don't have enough time. So it's this kind of vicious circle thing. And I realized that actually there is enough time. It's just that I was spending it mindlessly on things that weren't serving me well.
The old hamster wheel of life.
Yeah.
You know, I stepped off of that about 2 years ago, and you know, I did the whole stand back and look at it. What was my life like before? And you know, it exhausts you. You know what you're actually doing, and you're like, that. Why did I do that? What did I get out of that? Did I learn anything from it? And you're like, no, you were too busy focused on keep going, keep the wheel going, that you didn't take time to sit back and enjoy the view.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just coming back to stuff for a moment. It reminds me of many years ago now. I spent quite a lot of time with friends and family traveling around India, and some friends who we met over there, you know, were amazed. It's like, well, how come you have everything you need in sort of one small bag that you take from place to place? So that, you know, we need at least 4 suitcases to go on a weekend away. And, you know, just the kind of liberation in that is like, well, actually, you know, I've whittled it down to this is actually all I need. Everything else will either come to me or I can find it somehow. And, you know, and the mad thing was that even though I actually had 2 small bags and I lost one halfway on the trip. So, you know, even with my 2 small bags, I managed to lose one. Clearly didn't need that as well. But in that bag was a journal that I'd been writing the whole time, and I lost the journal. And I was really upset about the journal, And for some reason, I mean, I think that India does that to you a little bit. I firmly believed the journal was going to somehow make its way back to me. It didn't, okay? For ages, I totally believed that it would, that somehow this magical thing would occur, and you know, some complete stranger on the other side of the country would realise that this was mine, and they would get it back to me somehow. So, you know, clearly somebody used it to light fires or something, I would imagine.
Maybe they wrote a book.
But yeah, it was just this kind of this comparison of, and you know, of you know, somebody saying, but you know, we can't go away for a weekend without 4 suitcases, and here you are. How do you have everything you need here? And I mean, of course, it's not true, because you know, at home I had stuff to go back to, but I didn't need it. You know, I was like existing here today and experiencing things and making, you know, new friendships and so on and so on, and coming across amazing things. And you know, as long as we had somewhere to stay and some, you know, and some meals.
Do you know, I think we need stuff, at least I needed stuff to create certainty. So it was almost like, well, if I have it, then there won't be a time when I need it and it won't be there. And because I've given up certainty, I'm like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need the stuff, because if I need it, I'll find a way to get it. I don't need to have it there to give me that sense of security. Yeah.
So I wonder now, looking back, if we're all doing it a little bit, giving reasons why we have the stuff, when actually at the time it's a mindless process, because we live in a world where we're bombarded with advertising and things like that, which makes us believe we need and want stuff.
Yeah.
So actually, we purchase it without any thought, and it's only now when we look back at it and go, I need to find a reason that I've done this, because actually the truth might be that I've done it absent-mindedly.
Psychodynamic rationalization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're saying the unconscious is at work.
Mm-hmm.
But then we come back to that and saying, well, actually, maybe you're not rationalizing these. Maybe there is an unconscious need. You just don't know it. Like consciously, you're not aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
I must remember that the next time we go shopping. This is my subconscious is telling me I must have this. I don't think I must have it. And I'll be like that, okay.
Yeah, but maybe it is, it's those underlying dynamics, those kind of unconscious needs for, as you say, sort of certainty, security.
Do you know, now you said it reminds me of the toilet rolls at the beginning of lockdown.
Yeah, what was all that about?
That's what it was all about, wasn't it? I need to know that I have some in case.
But
Certainty.
the whole thing about it is one of the outcomes of it, you didn't need the toilet rolls.
It wasn't one of the symptoms, was it?
But you're just, why are you taking the toilet rolls? Bring them back.
And there are plenty of people around the world who would find the idea of a toilet roll really bizarre. I think that we're going to be coming up to time fairly soon. So is there anything on anybody's minds that we just want to, anything?
Yeah, I think one of the things for me is that I'm gradually realizing that, the needs I had and the needs that I don't now have are all also linked to the wider issue of the environment. And I think that if I need less, I'm going to be less of an impact on the environment. And that's also playing a part in me looking at the things I have and saying, well, it's like my washing machine broke. And I thought I could easily just dump that and get another one. But I persevered in getting it fixed because I realized that I need the machine, but I don't need a new one. I could just get it fixed. So I made a choice based on the impact that discarding my existing washing machine would have on the environment. So I'm also now thinking beyond myself, intergenerationally, and thinking about my children and their children, and thinking, well, am I having more than my fair share? And that's also impacting my decisions about what I need and what I don't need.
Yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? That's a really interesting thought. And I mean, for me, I think that goes to a need to feel in control, and not in a negative way, but in a positive way. And I mean, actually, I think that we are surrounded by a lot of things now that are not repairable, are not fixable. So, I mean, I can always remember my dad fixing his car, for example. If something went wrong with his car, he fixed it. And, these days, it's like, what do you do with a car? What do you do if your TV breaks? You get another one. What do you do if your phone breaks? You get another one. Not that I think that people fixed their phones in the past, but do you know what I mean? We are surrounded by things that are actually, all we can do with them is throw them away, or hopefully get them recycled and then find out that they just got binned anyway. So it's, I mean, I'd like to see things go back to a kind of a simpler way of life, where things can be easily fixed.
Yeah. And the phone thing is like, well, do you need that upgrade? Because actually what you're going to do with the other phone that is like only a year old? Do
you need those apps? Do you need all the things that phones can do and computers can do, and just overwhelm that, they overwhelm me with like, well, if I take this off, will I break the thing? But what does it do anyway?
I was just going to say, you were saying about time and how you've realised you were spending your time unwisely, if you like, and now you've readdressed that. And actually, phones are such an interesting thing because they're so designed to consume us to consume time. They take the one commodity we can't buy and that we have a limited finite resource of, and they use it. It's quite an interesting thought, that, or at least it is for me.
Yeah,
I think you're so right. It sucks. It can literally suck your time away.
It's a good old throwaway society. I was just thinking, if there's one thing I really, I've changed it, but social media. I would really, if I had one wish to grant on the world that could possibly come true, would be to get rid of social media. Especially for children, young people, for the message it sends, and also it attaches to this need for the best phone. Where did that come from? It's come from advertising, from all the big brands, and it's just we've lost our own identities, because our identities have been formed by what we wear, what we use, who we talk to, the pictures that we see, and I just feel that as a society, we've lost our identity. And I think when you get to a certain age, you start to realise that, it's like the whole coming off the hamster wheel, that, why am I on there? And let's get off it and just take a moment and just stop and think, what do I want? What do I need? What do I not need? What do I not want? And it's a really amazing and liberating moment, and you lose people along the way, but you also get a lot of really good positive people around you, and it's like the whole dictatorship. You're being dictated to by consumerism, and it's imbalanced. It's caused a huge imbalance.
Yeah, you've got some real major points there, haven't you, Fiona? So unfortunately, we're running out of time, and we'll just remind ourselves there that this is for our YouTube channel, and it's going on. It's going on social media. We're in a Zoom meeting together, even though we're in like completely different parts of the country. So I'm in the northeast. Tom, Siata, you're in the south.
Yeah, I'm in Oxford, just outside Oxford.
I'm in London.
And
I'm in the west coast of Scotland.
Right, Scotland, yeah. So it has its advantages, but it's it's certainly There's lots we can say about that. Maybe another time, I think. Maybe another time on that one for sure. So we're going to sign off in a moment, and thanks so much everybody for listening, and as I said before, if you've enjoyed it, then do please press that like button and subscribe to our channel. And our next theme for Chrysalis on the Couch is going to be special places. So that should be coming to you in a couple of weeks' time. So thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.